Hi, my name is Katie Kataska, and I am the chair of the Professional Development Committee of the New Jersey State Library Association. In the Library Career Path series, we'll be interviewing librarians from a wide variety of positions within the field, from public positions to music outreach and even business librarians. So newcomers and seasoned librarians alike can learn more about the many career options available in the field that they may not have been aware of. We hope you enjoy these interviews, and please like and subscribe to our channel below to help promote the Library Career Path series. Thanks so much for watching this series. We hope you enjoy it. Take care. Sure. So just to get started, can you please give us your name, title, and place of employment?
My name is Andrea Caporale. I am a school library media specialist at Somerville High School in Somerville, New Jersey.
And what inspired you to become a librarian? Did you choose this profession or did it find you?
Kind of a little bit of both. I had very different careers beforehand, and I was volunteering at my children's elementary school. And while I was doing that, I had started for a couple of years just as a volunteer, and then I was asked to take over the program. They needed someone to take over, and it was still volunteer work, but I took over as a parent volunteer program at the elementary school. So there was always a parent coming in each day to help the librarian check in books and shelve books. So I ran that program where I made sure there was staffing, there was parent staffing every day. And it was a wonderful experience. And my experience there allowed me to talk to the librarian, and she kind of convinced, she was like, oh, it's so easy to do. It's from home, to go back to school for it. I'm like, ha! And then I just got me thinking, and I went for it, took the dive in, and here I am.
I love how you just like masters, no big deal.
Yeah, I know. I was like, all right. I don't know. It was very nerve-wracking, me getting back into college after 20 plus years. And I was like, I don't know that I could do this again, but I'm just thrilled. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. It's always so nice to know that like people made their way back.
Yeah. It was definitely a fun change and a fun new career, new avenue for me. So.
Yeah. Well, you sort of already answered this, but so was there something specific that pointed you in the direction of becoming a school librarian?
So that was, I had always had experience with working with little children. So that was kind of my goal, and that was what I was going to do. I was like, okay, this is how I am going to do this. And I had also worked in, just prior to becoming a librarian, I worked for the Department of Education doing standardized testing. I worked for NAEP, the nation's report card. So I would go all around New York and New Jersey and administer standardized testing. And when I was there, it was one of my schools that I was in Newark. And I was in this gorgeous rotunda of a library, and it was just beautiful, filled with shelves, shelves filled with books and all these adorable little children. And I nearly broke my heart when I learned that the kids didn't have a librarian and didn't have access to take the books home. And that just broke my heart. And to see the kids, I was like, oh my God, they can't take the books home. Their faces were like crushed because they just wanted to read Captain Underpants and take it home. And that was really a very pivotal moment for me. So I knew this was the right way to go. I didn't expect that I'd become a high school librarian. I thought I'd work with the little ones, but during my field work in South Brunswick High School, I kind of realized that I want to be with teenagers, and I couldn't be happier.
Nice. Well, it does become related because eventually those kids get bigger. So
yes, exactly. The same little things. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this probably was a while ago, but can you describe the interview process?
So it was, so you not only have to do, the interviewing was, I had done it because during COVID. So I had done the interviewing process online, and then I had to go in for a demo lesson. And so I did that at a few different schools. The school that I'm in now, the demo lesson. So I had two main demos, and I was doing one in an elementary school and one in a high school. And they were just the day, because I think they were the same day. And the elementary demo lesson went awesome. It was wonderful. And then I went over to the high school and I just tanked it. I don't know. I couldn't see. I had to use their computer. So the screen was much smaller. I couldn't see. I didn't have I was nervous with the glasses on. I was like, didn't know what to do. I was fumbling. I didn't have enough material, and I didn't realize how much teenagers don't talk. So I was like, oh crap. And it was a terrible, terrible demo lesson. However, my interview talking to administrators was wonderful, and that went very well, and I got along very well with them. So that's what it was. There was a lot of different combinations of conversations and then demo lessons and back to conversations. So
That's good. Well, it seems like despite that, though, you're still working with the teens that you said you loved the lesson
Yeah, yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah,
So, hey,
yeah.
I mean, it happens to all. I have so many friends who are teachers, and they said you always have to make sure you have an online lesson and one you could take offline because you never know what happens.
Yeah, well, I didn't do about that. So
Yeah, yeah, but hey, clearly you still made it through. So,
it worked out. Yeah.
all is well that ends well.
Yes, exactly.
And so our next question is there an asset that you possess that you believe may have helped you land your job?
So during the process, I think there was one question that was really big, and that was when the principal asked me what I thought, what I envisioned the library to look like. And I said, honestly, I don't know your students yet. And for me, it really meant with the community. Like I needed to know what the students needed, and then I could envision what the library needed and see where I needed to go from there. And he was really impressed with that answer. And I really truly meant it. Like I couldn't say that it needed one thing over the other. I needed to meet the children and see what they actually had already before I could say what I think you need to transform the library into an active learning environment.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very true because every library is different, as you know.
100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so what is a typical workday like for you?
Prepare to be interrupted. Prepare to meet the student needs first. And that could be they need a snack or they need someone to talk to. Not necessarily books. Most times it's not, but that's okay. It all depends what I have going planned for the day, whether I'm teaching lessons or not, or I'm planning doing lesson planning for future classes, preparing for the next celebration, whether it be World Read Aloud Day. We have a big event coming up, and that's SEL Day in March,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big thing that we started last year, and I made it a school-wide, wound up turning into a school-wide event and a wonderful event that's everybody's really excited for and anticipating this year. So there's always something to be planning or organizing and something to do, and also reaching out to staff and trying to get them on board and show them new tricks of the trade and such. So
And just curious, what is SEL Day?
social emotional learning. It's
Oh,
an
that's
international
cool.
day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's something that's incorporated or should be incorporated into everyday lesson planning, but sometimes we forget. So it's just making it a full day of brain breaks and fun and taking our mind remembering how important our mind is over our body and everything else. So
Oh, that's interesting though.
yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful, exciting day. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, we're even gonna have therapy dogs coming in, so it's
I
fun.
know. I'm always jealous when the kids get the therapy dogs because I'm just like, I want to go over to the therapy dogs.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay. So yeah, so our next question is, so what skills and qualifications are required for your position, and do they match the skills and qualifications that you use most on a daily basis?
So for the school librarian, you have to have the master's certification. Some people are able to get away with there's an associate's apparently, I don't know. So I have my master's in library information science from Rutgers. And that program really was wonderfully created and wonderfully taught. And I really use every bit of every day that I learned at that school, at the Rutgers, whether it be lesson planning, curriculum building, curating, collection and resources, or collection development, building community, to work with staff and the surrounding town, working with my public library. So all those things were taught at school at Rutgers in the program, and I without a doubt use it every day.
Oh, that's good to hear because yeah, like some people are just like they go into the field and they're like, now I have totally some skills that I don't use.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
There's nothing that I haven't used.
no, that's good to hear.
Mhm.
So this is my favorite question. So what is the best thing about your job, and what is your least favorite?
The students, without a doubt, are the best part of my job. They get me up and excited and ready to go every day. They may be exhausting and draining, meeting all their needs, but they really make me smile and laugh every day. I have a wonderful, wonderful bunch at my school. There's about 1,200 students, and they all have their different needs and interests, and they definitely keep me going. And it's always fun to think of different ways so I can get them engaged and interested in learning and hopefully reading, but just getting them engaged in learning all different things, whether it be about themselves or school, or there's just so many different things to go for. But yeah, the hardest part of my day is definitely finding new ways to connect with staff and getting them to buy on board, to buy into the library and its needs. My administrators are very good and supportive. I guess the staff just didn't have that exposure to an active librarian in the past. And so it's a very new concept to them. And getting them to realize and learn all the different resources we have, and having them understand the importance of learning about media literacy and information literacy as it's changing by the minute. And they don't realize that, and they keep sending kids to the wrong resources, and then I have to kind of backtrack and start over with them. So getting them to buy in is really the most difficult part of my day.
I can imagine. I had a friend who worked as a school librarian, and she said, like, working with the teachers, like you said, was the hardest part.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So on to then the next question. What are your salary expectations, and does your current job meet them? And are there also opportunities for growth in your position?
Growth, unfortunately, there really isn't much growth because it's a union. So you're in and you go from there. Yeah, unfortunately, it's like the only way to really grow is to be able to have to move off to a new school and then make negotiations before starting, which is kind of a stinky way of doing it. And I'm just definitely not ready to go there, do that as of yet. Having the master's definitely gives you a nice little boost. The only way to really go up salary-wise would be getting my doctorate, which is something I would like to consider. I do consider and would like to do. I just trying to get myself settled, still sitting in, just, I'm in year 3. So it's really just still just trying to situate myself and get a better grip on things. I have it, but I think I just still could use a little calming down first. That's really it. I've taken on different activities at the school, which you get a little stipend from. But I don't do it so much for the stipend as for the different experiences and community building of what I do.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand where you are, because like I'm librarian too, and that's pretty much the highest where I can go. So
right, yeah, there's no supervisor, and like if people like someone had mentioned, oh, why don't you get into administration? I'm like, I don't want to, because then I don't get to be a librarian anymore, and it's really just so exciting and fun.
Yeah, exactly. Because I had the same issue where like a librarian 3 did come up, but that's for being a manager, and I'm like, just doesn't interest me as much. Like I definitely like being a part of the community, like and helping. Like I don't want behind the desk and organizing schedules. It's just not for me.
Right. It takes away from the fun of it. And even in past careers, the same thing. I didn't want to have to go into that managerial thing because it just, I don't know. I like the hands-on, nitty gritty stuff. Like that's the fun part of it.
Exactly. I'm sure it's for somebody, but it's just, it's not for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love this question as well. So what advice do you have for new librarians or graduate students about to enter the field?
I think one of the biggest things that I learned and I remind myself on a daily basis is don't forget that 5-year plan. Like you go in and you get so excited and you want to make all this change. But it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight, and I get frustrated with staff and I get frustrated with little things, but I just remind myself like 5 years, I'm only a few years in, I've got some more time and I will get there. And I know I can eventually get there, or I feel that I can. It just takes time to change cultures and change the community and their way of thinking of things. So it just takes time. So I just remind myself that. And so that's the best advice I could give is just remember to take time and remember that it will happen. You can't get frustrated and know your community, know the needs of your students and your staff, and build a plan that you can work on little by little to get there.
No, that's definitely very good advice, because you never know what it's going to look like when you get there. Like it's always more when you're hands-on, then you're like, okay, this is kind of what everyone needs.
Yes. Right, exactly.
And so so our next question is then what do job prospects look like for your type of position?
Job prospects is pretty much wait for someone to retire, and then you can start to know who's going to getting ready to retire, and then go for it. If you're willing to switch school levels, like I'm not ready yet. Like I really like being in a high school, and I haven't had enough exposure to this group yet, so I don't know that I'm ready to leave out of that yet. I mean, that's pretty much it, just knowing what options there are available. Or did I want to switch over to public library? That's another option too. But right now I'm very comfortable. But
Yeah.
that's the thing, is being able to see what opportunities are out there, being connected and getting to know people within the organizations, the library organization, would be NJLA or NJSL, knowing what resource, who's going where or what's happening.
Yeah, it's funny you say that though about the retiring, because I came out of like school, like a university librarian. I said, "Oh, it'd be great to work here." And I was asking my boss, like, "How do I go about this?" And she says, "Well, normally you have to wait till someone retires."
Yes, that's pretty much it.
And I was like, "Really?" And she goes, like, "Yeah, job opportunities in university, at least at that time, because this was back in like 2011, was so slim."
Right. Yeah.
So I just said that was funny that she said that, but it turns out it is true because sometimes nothing opens up until someone retires or just leaves.
Right. And that's really it.
And
Yeah.
yeah, only just now, like only as of a couple of years ago, I noticed they were finally having job opportunities like several years after my graduation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what did happen is I think also there's legislation being passed that they're hoping to pass in order with the ratio bill, so that there are a number of librarians per students in a school, where right now it's just one per district. They're looking to increase that. So hopefully that will allow for there to be more library opportunities within the schools. So when I was hired, I was the only librarian in district. Which was a little scary at first, but thankfully within a year they hired for the other schools as well. There's only 3 schools in my district, so they hired one for the elementary and the middle school as well. So that was a very positive move. And so hopefully in schools that are not they don't have, in districts that have very limited librarians, hopefully that'll be able to open up those opportunities for more librarians.
Yeah, that would be great because I felt like always my school librarian always seems so overwhelmed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's hoping that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the next question is, so what has been your biggest challenge in this profession?
My biggest challenge. I think it really just changing the culture of my school. It's really the same thing. Like I said, like I just mentioned to you, like I was the only librarian in district. So working to change the culture and the understanding of what a library media specialist does in schools, how strong our role is, and really the importance of information literacy. Thankfully, I do have support of my administration, but getting into the classrooms and being able to educate students, all students, not just selected students, about the importance of information literacy is really, really important. And then we can tap into the reading from there. But if they don't know how to navigate the internet, then we're just really in trouble. Yeah.
That makes sense. Like if they can't navigate that, then what's the point?
Right. If they don't understand what they're reading or what they're looking at, it's really important. It's really dangerous, especially in this day and age. And then the reading, of course, and tapping into getting readers of all kinds is really exciting as well. And seeing what they're interested in and navigating all the different resources and social media to try to get them excited, into reading, and utilizing all the different social media tools is very exciting. But it's time consuming. So just building a program in general, I guess, is just very exhausting. But it's wonderful too.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like once you get a flow for it, it's great. But I'm sure the road there is is
It is. I
hellish.
basically started from scratch, and so it's very tiring. But I know the change has been wonderful. I know it's a slow change, but it's definitely been. A lot of people have been very receptive, especially the students, which is great.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
It is. It really is.
And so our last question then is, are there any accomplishments during your library career so far that you are particularly proud of?
I am. So when I walked into the school, I noticed that we had a very large immigrant population. So our multi-language learners are, they were having their classes, but I didn't feel that they were represented in library. And so I wanted to change that. And so I was able to get a grant after my first year. So last year, my second year, I was able to get a grant. So I started that first year, and I was able to purchase books in Spanish because most of my students are Spanish speaking.
Mm.
Most of the immigrant population is Spanish speaking. So I was able to build a Spanish collection, and then I created an after school book club with them. And we just practice reading, and it's very low key. It's not something very stringent. There's no rules. We just go with the flow. We read in both English and in Spanish the same passages, and we just read passages. We don't read an entire book. And it has been a wonderful experience for all of us. And it has built really a community within our community, and it's given them more confidence to then venture out of their little population within the school. And now I have some of my students have now become peer leaders in the school. They've become part of the community in all different kind of groups. They've taken on sports. And so it's been a wonderful experience taking these students and giving them the courage to read and speak more English, and but then make sure that they're not forgetting their native languages. A lot of the students weren't able to read fluently in Spanish either. And so this gave them more confidence to do so. Here we're trying to teach them how to read in English, and they don't even know how to read in Spanish, in their native language. So it's been a wonderful experience. The after school book club, the kids come to me and ask when our next lesson is going to be. I've been able to help them resources with their parents as well, with their families. It's just been a wonderful experience. They've all embraced it very much so. And we have snacks, and we read, and we laugh and tell stories, and we talk to each other. And it's nice because within that group, they teach each other about their own cultures because they're coming from so many different countries. So it's been nice, and it's been a nice bond for all of them. And to watch them expand into the greater community at the high school has been just really heartwarming. So that's my big proud moment. I'm very, very excited for them, and I'm so proud of them all every day.
Oh, that's so nice to hear that. Cause yeah, like I've had that experience where I've been in another country. I used to live in France for a little while.
Okay.
So it was just weird for me to be like, how do I still maintain this language and that language? And it was always hard to do because I wasn't in like an English speaking part of France. Cause there's
Right.
some little areas, but not always. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
hard. And now I have the problem of like, how do I keep the French?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no matter where you go, there's always that problem.
Right. So, and so I've made sure that the Spanish collection replicates the regular collection, but also I have special books that are there to allow them to embrace their own culture as well. I want to make sure that they see themselves in the stories of today. I want them to see their possibility in America. And so we've done that through various stories, and then also just reminders of where they're from, and to never forget that. And they appreciate that as well. So it's really lovely. Yeah, it's
Oh,
been
that's
great.
really nice.
It
Well,
really is.
I'm glad you liked being a school librarian. Like that's really awesome because my aunt has been like a teacher in a school for so years, and she never has anything but like nice things to say about like the students and everything. And I always get cute stories.
Yeah. It's really nice. It's been awesome, but it's also great because I tap into our public library, and we do connections together. We do programming together. So it's been nice being able to work and whatever that I can't do, that the public library can also continue or expand on, and which is really nice and helpful.
Yeah. No, that's something when I started to work in public libraries, I didn't even know it was a thing that we had relationships with the schools. Cause all of a sudden we'd be like, oh, well, I checked out like a book here, but like, can I return to school? I'm like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
found out like, no, but we just have like a sympathetic, like sometimes we'll buy the books for the schools that they can't afford. So
Oh
like
yeah.
there's sometimes be like a school relationship there.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
helpful to have that because we're very limited resources, at the school level for sure. So
Yeah, for sure. But hey, if you can offer it, it's definitely nice to offer for sure.
yeah, definitely. And listen, school's only 10 months, so those two other months are really important for the students, and having to be able to continue that tradition at the public library is really nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, well, thank you for this chat. This was really nice. It's been nice to talk to other librarians and get to sense of like what they do every day.
It is. It's really exciting to see there's similarities, but yet the differences depending on the community that
Yeah,
you're
because
in.
like my goal with this whole thing is just to been like, hey, like if you don't like where you are, you don't have to stay. There's so much variety for you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And my community is extremely diverse, so it's there's definitely so many different needs to meet, and so many different people and personalities to entertain. So it's definitely busy, but it's exciting, and I like that diversity of it all. It keeps me going. I like to keep busy. So
Yeah, I don't blame. I think all librarians are like always busy because everyone I'm talking to always has so many things going on, and it's so cool to see what
right.
everyone else is doing.
Yeah, definitely. So